have you spent much time on the indigenous mass graves in Canada? Is that bullshit or is that real?
I've spent way too much time on that.
You have done this. Okay.
100% bullshit.
It is.
Complete
Holy
bullshit.
dude, because
there were churches burned to the ground. There was just another one last week that got burned out. Now they said it's suspicious, so I don't know 100%. But like, yeah, there were churches burned to the ground over that shit, and it was total bullshit.
Wow. Crazy.
Basically, there was
I listened to a whole episode of The Daily about that shit and just assumed it was all real.
So here's the thing, okay? They are finding a couple grave sites that were outside these schools, and they started referring to them as mass graves. Now, I don't give a fuck what anybody listening says or thinks. A mass grave is when you kill a lot of people in one area, or so many people fucking die, you start throwing them in a fucking ditch. You don't even mark the bodies. It's not a cemetery. A cemetery is not a fucking mass grave.
Right.
But they started finding some of these cemeteries near schools. A couple of them had been like, they'd fallen out of like maintenance. So like some of the gravestones were gone or they were like grown over and shit. And somehow this snowballed out of control to children were buried in mass graves in a lot of these residential schools, and the bodies were never even accounted for. We don't even know who's there. And that's the narrative that Canada ran with. And the whole country got hyped up on that. They started burning down churches. But here's the reality. There has not been a single actual mass grave discovered in Canada. There's not been a single body exhumed anywhere that somebody didn't know about. I don't think they've exhumed any at all.
Right.
All of that narrative was 100% bullshit.
And nobody has issued retractions.
Nobody will
much, right?
retract anything. Of course not.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, that's wild. And
That's
there's
insane.
churches were burned to the ground. There were over 100 vandalized. There's like 6 or 5 to 10 like actually like burned, and they're not ever usable anymore. They're completely destroyed, and nobody took accountability or responsibility for it.
You know, I heard a similar thing about that fucking. Remember that bird watcher beef in New York, like around the time of the George Floyd thing? It was like, what was it? It was like a black dude who was like asking. He was like basically talking to a lady who was walking her dog.
Yes.
Amy Cooper.
Yeah.
I listened to a Barry Weiss podcast about how that didn't happen the way that they put out there, and it was fucking insane. They interviewed her.
How it happened on the video that went viral was black dude standing there just being chill, and the woman is like, I'm going to call the cops on you for being a threat to me.
Right.
The full video was the guy saying, I'm going to put out some candy treats. I'm going to get your dog to come over here. He was trying to lure the woman's fucking dog away in a park. Yeah. That story was bullshit. Her life was destroyed, I'm pretty sure, over that fucking story, too.
She's still in hiding. Like, Barry Weiss was somehow able to get her to do an interview, but she had never talked to the media. She was, her life
Absolute
was
fucking
ruined.
bullshit, dude.
It's crazy.
I never knew that.
Absolute bullshit.
Right, because
I always say that people get so mad at me, but anytime I see a clip where it's 15, 30 seconds, I'm like, we all have cell phones today.
Yeah.
Nobody's cell phone stops at 15 seconds. There's a reason why you're seeing a video that's 22 seconds long.
Yeah.
Okay? There's 50 million things that could have happened before and could have happened after. Don't fucking draw any judgments or conclusions until you see all the footage. There's literally no reason to do it. Okay? Nobody's holding a gun to your head telling you to make a decision right fucking now. Nobody's got their fucking hand on the nuclear button about to bomb something. Fucking chill. Just wait for the rest of the story to come out and then make a decision then.
Right.
The Kyle Rittenhouse shootings.
I heard, I watched the debate, and it was you doing this topic, but it was like before all of the information from the trial and everything that we know now, and you were kind of wiping the floor with Vosh, regardless, even though you didn't have like any of the information that we know now. But yeah, that's an open and shut easy one.
Do you know why the Rittenhouse shootings happened?
Because he was basically being attacked.
Kind of. So the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings happened because in Kenosha there was mass rioting.
Right.
Because a few days before, there was a video release of Jacob Blake getting shot 6 times in the back by a cop.
Right.
And it looked really bad. Black guy was getting into a car and a cop shoots him like 6 times. The reality of that situation that we didn't find out until months later was that this dude was, his wife or girlfriend had called the cops. He either had an open warrant or already had been convicted of like sexual assault. He came to this woman's house, like kidnap her kids. He had like 2 or 3 kids in the back of the car, and he was about to get in the car and fucking drive off with them. And the cops were trying to stop him from leaving. And people are like, yeah. And once all this, the story came out, people were like, oh, okay. Yeah, obviously this was like, okay. Well, people didn't say that afterwards because nobody cared. But like all of the rioting that happened in Kenosha, all of the Rittenhouse shootings that happened afterwards, all of that was on the back of a video where you only had 20 seconds of it. You didn't see the full fucking video.
Right.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. Even like the day of the Rittenhouse verdict, I had to inform like AD and T-Rel that he didn't kill 2 black people. Like,
oh yeah,
they believed that that was just so consistently like put into people's minds somehow.
Some media stories even tweeted that out, like or yeah, like this is an example of white supremacy when a white guy can murder black people and get away with it. Like, motherfucker, what are you talking about? Or people, I even debated Sam Cedar on this, and we started the very start of the conversation. Like, there's a lot of misinformation relating to, like, for instance, like the shooting of like Jacob Blake. And he's like, yeah, I understand. Jacob Blake dying was, you know, probably. And I was like, hold on, Jacob Blake's not dead, Sam. And he's like, oh yeah, he's not. I guess he's just probably like, oh, what the fuck?
Right.
Sorry,
but
yeah,
like
fuck, that drives me crazy.
The Rittenhouse thing though as well. Like I remember seeing LeBron tweeting about like, oh, your white tears, and I was like, bro, this is like an 18-year-old kid who killed 2 people. Is it really hard for you to believe?
Yeah.
You think he was faking it?
Yeah.
No,
Dude.
Dude,
Yeah, for sure.
Motherfuckers get on Twitter and they act like they have CPTSD from people tweeting mean words at them. And they're like, white kid that's crying because he shot and killed 2 people in front of him when he was 17? No
Right.
shot. I don't believe that one. White people are immune to that. No shot,
Does
dude.
he seem like a cold-blooded killer who
It
just
was
would be able
super
to...
theatrical, though, right? Like, it was super theatrical. Like
Dude.
it was a.
Do you think that Amber Heard was doing fucking cocaine when she was on the stand too? Are you one of those people?
No.
Okay.
Okay, give us your opinion on that whole Amber Heard thing. Were you like that was a huge like pull for people to make content about that? Tons of people like reverted their entire YouTube career to cover the trial and stuff.
People got on some of that,
and it feels like there's at least like an attempt at rewriting how this all went down, because like a lot of people in the media now are really trying to call attention to how she was treated unfairly by so many content creators and everything like that. Like what's your take on all that?
I don't make any strong takes. I didn't follow the trial closely.
Me neither.
So I'm going to say that number 1. I'll say number 2, long-term toxic relationships almost always take 2 to tango. It's very rare that just one person is fucking up. I'll say 3, I saw information that made it seem like Johnny Depp was probably pretty shitty too, not just Amber Heard, which isn't surprising to me. But I think in the totality of what I saw, she probably should have lost her case too. Here's like the issue that happens with shit like this, okay? I'll get on Twitter and I'll tweet something about how like, I don't think that women on Twitch should be doing like sexual content. I think that's kind of weird. And then I'll get people that'll pop up on my mentions and they're like, amen, dude. Women that have cleavage on Twitch are fucking sluts. Get these fucking whores off. And I'm like, bro, slow the fuck down. I don't know who you are, but I don't want you in my corner. I think the Amber Heard shit, the way that you see people talk about it is like, I don't know how to phrase this, but some people are too happy. Yeah. Like, it sounded like a fuck situation. If Johnny happened, if Johnny was correct and that, you know, he was defamed and it wasn't good or whatever, and he won, that's awesome. I'm cool for that. And you know what? Fuck Amber. But this whole like meta narrative of the like evil fucking women trying to ruin fucking men everywhere, and Johnny came out for all of us, and these fucking whores are trying to blah blah blah. It's like, damn. Sometimes it feels like they become vehicles for way too much vitriol. Is how I feel about it sometimes. Yeah.
Well, they're not half wrong though. Meaning, you know, just for what like we were told or seeing what like Johnny went through, it doesn't feel like she's getting like the level of criticism, right? Again, if I told you, yo, like this dude shit on me, you feel me? And this female's bad, you know, and like he's responsible for her losing a portion of her fingers, that man would never be able to ever get work again. He'll be ostracized, he'll be banned, he'll be boycotted. But she kind of feels like as if she's getting like a pass. You know, I think she, you know, was let off easy.
There's a lot of double standards on all sides. It sucks. Like a lot of people came down way too hard on her in really weird ways. A lot of people probably let a lot of shit slide because it's a woman and we've got to treat them like retarded children. It reminds me of there's an episode I think of The View that was really weird. I think it was The View. It might have been another episode with like 4 or 5 women talking where they were going through some story and laughing about some wife cut her husband's dick off and threw it in a food disposal. And they were all like laughing at like the comedy of that. And I was like,
it's crazy.
Wow.
If there was anything on the opposite end of like a guy uses scissors to snip his wife's clit off and throw it out, you would be losing your mind.
Jesus Christ. That's like unthinkable.
Yeah, I know. So yeah,
you'd think we would have came a long way from Lorena Bobbitt, because I remember that being like the principal comedic theme of like that year. Like everybody was just talking about Lorena Bobbitt chopping her husband's dick off.
Oh, maybe that was the story it was about, maybe.
No, because you're talking about garbage disposal. I think that would be a different thing.
Oh, okay, maybe it's a different thing.
Because she threw it into a field and they recovered it and they sewed it back on, and he actually ended up doing porn with his recovered penis.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Shout out John Bobbitt. I believe he might have died.
Oh, well.
He did, right? Yeah. R.I.P. to a goat.
I definitely got to watch that porn now.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Have you ever seen they can save organs in really crazy ways? Like, if something gets amputated, I think I've seen a picture of this. You can sew like a penis onto a person's arm to keep like the blood flowing through it until they're ready for surgery and shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like some wild shit.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're trying to hit 400,000 subscribers. So that little red button, tap it, tap in. We appreciate y'all.